What up, people? This is your boy Dedrian Colon from House of Wrestling, and this is my review for the January 19th edition of AEW Dynamite. And man, tonight was a very good Dynamite. Um, Me personally, I believe tonight was the best Dynamite so far this year. And I know many of you are like, what are you talking? What are you talking about? You know, the first Dynamite had Bryan Danielson and Hangman Page. Yes, it did, but that Dynamite was after the whole Tony Khan tweet, so there was a lot of things you really, as a fan, you were kind of, for most fans, like if you're an AEW fan, it was just uneasy to watch it because, again, there's to this date there has been no apology or anything of that nature, and the emotions and just you could sense the tension surrounding the promotion. And I stated before and last week that there was like this cloud over AEW. And tonight, that cloud is kind of going away. It's kind of going away. It's going away, which is a good thing. Get back to wrestling instead of tweeting, at each other and stuff like that, and indirects and all this other stuff. Get back to wrestling. And I believe the last 2 weeks, Dynamite has been what most people feel was pretty subpar. Which, when you go back and watch it, there is a fluidity to AEW Dynamite when they're hitting on all cylinders, and there is an energy and an enthusiasm that's throughout that show where you're just like, man, this is good. But when it ain't there, that enthusiasm, that energy, just the possibility of, ooh, this could happen. Oh, that could happen. Oh, man, what if they do that? When that's not there, man, this show, whoo, it's a tough one to sit through. But tonight, man, this was a really good show. Like always, not like always, but like my previous reviews that I've done in the past week or so, that I've stated that I will be going through the pros, somewhat in between segments, and the cons of AEW Dynamites. So yeah, I'm not going to go through the whole show and stuff like that. I'll just get to the point and, again, the pros, somewhat the in-between moments and the cons. But overall, this show was really good. If you didn't watch the show, I recommend you see it. It was a lot of great moments. The two moments that stick out of tonight's AEW Dynamite: Jon Moxley's promo that started off the show, and the Cody Rhodes promo. That money. So yeah, I'll jump into the Jon Moxley promo. So he comes out. He looks good. He looks healthy. You can tell that there's a rest, a tranquility, some, form of peace in the mind, the body, the soul. You could tell because just the way he walked, like he had that vigor, that strength, that swag that, he had a while back, that before he went away and everything, you kind of saw it like it was just like going through the motions. And that's something you could pick up on as a wrestling fan, when you can tell certain wrestlers that you become accustomed to watching on television. It's like, man, there's just something, like, there's something missing. There's just, where's that gear at? Like, and, for some reason it just wasn't there, but thankfully, he's healthy, he's safe, and he's in a good place, and you could tell that, and that was really good. But man, his promo, whew, that was some good stuff. And it started off with a fan saying something, which I don't know what the fan said. Other people online were speculating what he possibly could have said. I don't know what he said, but Jon Moxley heard the guy, and he's like, yeah, you know what you can do? Go F yourself. Get the guy out of here. And when that happened, it's like, oh, he's back. He is back, and this promo is about to be really good. And as he went through this promo, and he was pretty much telling the story of this dream he had of just someone, this dark figure over him, which he, said was described as a demon. And, each one of us have that. And, I'm just going to take whatever strength I have and shove this, whatever he's trying to do to me up his a-hole. That was pretty intense, but it was intense in a good way. It was intense because you didn't want to change the channel. You didn't want to tweet or anything. He had your attention. And that crowd in that arena, he had them in the palm of their hands because it was just dead silent. And nobody was chanting boring or anything. It was a good silent. It was a silent like, hey, we need to listen to what this guy has something to say, very important, and we need to listen. And it was a great promo, and I look forward to what he's going to do. And later on in the show, it was revealed that he's going to be taking on Ethan Page on this Friday's Rampage, which I believe is live, which is sweet. Yes, I love it. But yeah, you had that. Then you had the Cody Rhodes promo, and I'll tell you something about this Cody Rhodes promo. When he comes out, I guess the 2 weeks off that he's had, because of medical issues and COVID protocol and everything, I guess he's probably had time to relax and reflect. But this Cody Rhodes was showing a lot of characteristics of the Cody Rhodes in ROH when he was a heel. The picture-in-picture, he was holding the title in front of the crowd. He was doing a lot of things. He looked for a ladder. He put a ladder up. So, long story short, apparently we're going to get Sami Guevara versus Cody Rhodes next week in a ladder match. But, man, he went on. He kind of threw a jab at the whole Gunther debacle that's going on in WWE. He's like, well, maybe you're Gunther McGilliputty or something like that. But a lot of stuff that he was talking about, he referenced the pipe bomb. He referenced starting a revolution, that he started it, and just a lot of self-reflection, a lot of things that he's like, hey, I'm the one that started it. And it's like, ooh, this is like planting the seeds. It's almost like when Bret Hart turned heel in '97, where you saw it, like man, he's heel, like he's gonna turn heel. But it was just seeds planted, like they planted the seed and they just watered it and watered it and watered it and watered it and watered it. And just like any plant, when you water it over time, it's gonna grow to the point where, you know what? We got to change the pot and put it into something else so this thing can grow even more. Man, I'm telling you, Cody Rhodes, he is going to go back to his Ring of Honor heel days. We're about to see a Cody Rhodes in AEW television this year. That is going to be amazing. And I think what could possibly happen is that we could get a Cody versus Kenny Omega feud. A callback to 2018, the Bullet Club Civil War. Because the Bullet Club Civil War was basically Cody and Kenny, and then Tom and the rest of the originals kicked them out. Or they just, split and stuff like that. But let's see what happens. But Cody Rhodes, I recommend you watch that promo. Me, again, like you guys seen on most of my reviews and stuff like that, I would do it no justice trying to repeat these promos or these segments word for word. After you watch this review, go watch that promo and you will see what I'm talking about. Cody Rhodes is he's a heel, but it's slowly being revealed that he's a heel, if that makes sense. But it's some good stuff. It is some really good stuff. He's sinking his teeth into something that's really good. He started off the promo. It's funny, now that I think about it, he started off the promo. So what do you guys want to talk about? Oh, in the midst of all this stuff that's going on with him being a free agent and stuff like that, it appeared like he wasn't aware with the Codyverse that he was doing, but it's like, no, this guy's aware. Like, he's aware, And I think he's more aware than we give him credit. And this is some good stuff. Outside of that, you had the MJF Wardlow segment that was in the backstage area. MJF, he's talking at Wardlow very condescending. And he's like, I apologize for costing you the match, but you touched me, and because you touched me, I'm going to dock your pay. This is going to be, I've tweeted this numerous times. When Wardlow beats the shit out of MJF, that is going to be some epic television, and that thing is going to go viral for AEW because you see it. And I think what makes these segments with Wardlow in the past few weeks, mind you, this has been some of the bright spots of AEW Dynamite. As a whole, it's been kind of like lackluster to the standard that AEW has given us in the last 2.5, 3 years. But Wardlow's facial expressions, man, these are money. This is money. This is some good stuff. That is just like, he's adding to what we're already anticipating for him to do. So, man, it's some good stuff. Check it out. Please check it out. I recommend you guys check it out. Moving along. This segment brought joy to my heart. It brought joy to my heart. So Alex Marvez, he was backstage with Chris Jericho and Santana and Ortiz. Ooh, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. The seeds are planted, and it looks like we will get Santana Ortiz breaking away from the inner circle. Alex Marvez, he starts the interview with Jericho like, yeah, Eddie Kingston said this, and Jericho, he's already got a t-shirt for the slogan that he said tonight, and it's GFY, which is basically go F yourself. It is what it is. Me personally, I didn't give a crap because I seen the moment he said that about Eddie Kingston. He's like, oh, Eddie Kingston, go F yourself. Ortiz cuts him off. Whoa, 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 whoa. You may not care about Eddie Kingston, but we do. As soon as Ortiz said that, it's like, ooh, yes. Ooh, yes, yes, yes. Anybody who's watching this review know, not only myself, but many other people have stated the inner circle should have been broken up a long time ago. And thank God it is finally happening. And Santana, he interjects and he tells Jericho, Eddie Kingston did make a point that if it wasn't for you, we would be tag champs. The Elite, and he just names down the list of factions and teams that have won tag team gold besides them. And the look on Jericho's face is like, oh shit, like they're like the realization, like, oh, they're sick and tired. They're frustrated. Oh damn. And Santana throws a line like, we're gonna win this trios match and we're gonna show you what we could do on our own. Paraphrasing. And man, as soon as they cut away, oh my God, this is good. Please watch this. Watch that segment. This is going to be some good stuff. I think a lot of stuff that we've been waiting for in AEW for the past, you could say 4 or 5 months, ever since Punk and CM Punk arrived in AEW. A lot of stuff that we've been wanting to happen, which honestly, if you think about it, I think a lot of stuff got pushed back because one, they brought in Punk, then they brought in Bryan Danielson. Maybe a lot of stuff that if they didn't sign those guys were going to happen earlier, and they got pushed, further down the calendar for it to happen and stuff like that. But that was a good promo. Another thing that I liked about it I liked about AEW Dynamite was the backstage interaction between Billy Gunn and Christian, which is like pretty surreal because you're looking at these two guys and you're like, these are former WWE guys that were beating the hell out of each other like 20 years ago, and they're helping these young guys. And it was really cool because this segment, like over the past few weeks, like you you kind of get a sense of who's going to have a segment and, stuff like that. Like this came out of like left field, and to see Christian get attacked by the Gunn Club and stuff like that, that was like, whoa, okay. This is pretty interesting, out of the blue. All right, I like this. Moving along, the Malachi Black, Brody King tag team match. Watch that match. I recommend you to watch that match. Brody King, Malachi Black. That is a tag team that AEW needs. These two guys. Wow. Now, mind you, this match was a squash match because they beat up Brian Pillman and Griff Garrison. But man, these boys are bad. And what added to this match was what happened afterwards. When Pac, his video package, which was amazing. I recommend you guys see that. He pretty much calls out Malachi and more or less setting up for an eventual match between Malachi Black and Pac. We'll see if who's going to help Pac in his match with these guys. But man, that was a good video package. But Brody King and Malachi Black, that is going to be a tag team that's going to be holding AEW Tag Team Gold this year, because they are some badasses. Another thing that was really good about this show, and has been teased on AEW Dark Elevation, Rampage, Dynamite. It's been teased for like the past few weeks. Again, another interesting thing that's transpired that's really cool is the Leyla Hirsch turning on Red Velvet and Kris Statlander. Now, mind you, this happened, the Kris Statlander, this segment happened after the Kris Statlander and Orange Cassidy versus Adam Cole and Baker match that started the show off. And Kris Statlander's holding her neck, and she's hurting and stuff like that after feeling the effects of, the match. And Leyla Hirsch just comes in sarcastically and condescending, like, see, that's what happens when you don't focus on your tag team matches. See, that's what happens when you don't. And Red Velvet interjects. Mind you, I'm paraphrasing. I'm not saying it word for word. And she interjects and she's like, hey, we need to stop it. We're a team and this. And out of nowhere, Leyla Hirsch just clocks Red Velvet. And Kris Statlander's like, what the hell are you doing? So she tries to, see if Red Velvet's okay. And Leyla Hirsch just beats her up. And it's like, yes. This is the Leyla Hirsch we've been wanting. I've been saying it. I've been tweeting it. I hope they put Leyla Hirsch with Team Taz because it's long overdue. That was a pretty cool segment. Another cool moment that I liked about tonight's show was the Adam Cole Britt Baker pairing. I've seen on Twitter a lot of people, rightfully so, not happy with not a lot of women's matches. And one thing that I've been saying for a while when they announced this match, and then you've seen a few pairings, that they need to put these women in all these factions that they have. Because one, you could do what you did tonight, which was a really cool opening match. It was a mixed tag match, again, between Adam Cole and Britt Baker versus Kris Statlander and Orange Cassidy. And it's cool because it gives context and layers to the women wrestling, where they're not just, and I think this is where AEW is lacking as far as their women's division, because it's like, hey, you have a lot of talented women that do not have any backstory or depth within your company because you're so young. Why don't you put them with a faction where they build a history and then you can build off of that, which makes logical sense. Kris Statlander's with, the best friends. That's added so many layers to her character. And if you notice, her character's actually grown. You look at Britt Baker. Now, she was over as DMD, but she had her own little faction. Now that she's with Adam Cole, her boyfriend, now that adds even more context and layers. Because now, Britt Baker can either be the cause of Adam Cole winning a match, losing a match, being DQ'd. Now that sets her up for another interaction with Kris Statlander because she went through a table. You see what I'm saying? Like, it sets up so much stuff for these women, and this is where it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. This helps your women's division because now you build up a foundation, and now they can grow from it instead of being idle and you have different women just coming out. And mind you, all these women that they've been showcasing are extremely talented, but you have to add something to it for people to be interested in. You can't just put them out there, oh, they're great wrestlers. No, you have to put a story or a faction to give them a character that we can invest in. You know, a lot of these women we want to invest in, but you're not giving us a reason to invest in because you're not putting them in a position to be invested in. Hopefully, you guys watching this, you understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's something I wish they would do more of. But yeah, this Adam Cole Britt Baker pairing, I loved it. Of course, they've tagged before, but the fluidity, the storytelling of mixed tag matches is so cool, especially if you have the right players. And AEW has a lot of good pairings of men and women that you can do that can make a lot of sense and be very cool and add something totally different than what we're seeing in other promotions. I wish they would do it, but hopefully let's see what happens. But this match, I really liked it, and I really hope they do more of this because you have a lot of talented women that can do this. And case in point, look at what happened with the mixed tag match, and it just came to my mind. Look at what happened with the mixed tag match between Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet versus Shaq and Jade Cargill. Put Jade Cargill on the map. Look, this is how this stuff works. You have a bet, like, it's AEW's got it. Like, why reinvent the wheel? You have something that you've established. This is what you can do. Then the other thing that was pretty cool that I liked was the reuniting. Well, they reunited before, but now they made it official, and they're going to be in action. So we're going to get Roppongi Vice versus the Young Bucks, and I like this whole segment because they showed matches from New Japan when they wrestled in New Japan, the Young Bucks and Roppongi Vice. That was really cool because it added context to why these guys are feuding. Of course, people who watch are like, I don't watch New Japan. All you got to do is go on YouTube, Roppongi Vice versus the Young Bucks. You see the whole backstory. So that's pretty cool because that actually, by them announcing it and the match happening on Friday, this gives people time to actually get caught up. Like, man, you know what? I really want to watch this. This looks pretty cool. But yeah, that's a lot of things that I liked about it. A few things that were like, they weren't bad and they weren't necessarily good. It was just more, okay, it's a part of keeping things moving along. The Spears Punk match was actually kind of funny because it only lasted a few seconds and Punk just like hit him, turned around, flipped him, GTS. That was it. And I would say this about this segment, this match and slash segment that I liked was when MJF tried to attack him and CM Punk had his garment, and when he went to punch, MJF ran away and CM Punk was left with his match. I like that because they're adding layers to it. And I did tweet this, that the way it looks, and if you look at the calendar, it looks like this is going to be a match at Revolution, which is really cool. Revolution looks like a pay-per-view that's going to have a lot of momentum behind it and a lot of great matches and pairings that looks pretty cool. The Jade Cargill, Anna Jay backstage segment, it was pretty cool. It was good to see the TBS champion. I really do wish that they would, if you're gonna, like on Dynamite, I wish they would put the major titles there, and on Rampage, I wish they would put like the TNT and TBS titles, more on Rampage to give you something to tune in, a title match. And so like split off the title matches and things like that, where you could put the TNT title on both Rampage and Dynamite, but you get some there. And of course, please make the FTW title official and stuff like that, so you can put on Rampage. But yeah, it was a pretty cool backstage segment setting up for Rampage this Friday. Kazarian Archer match. I know I'm jumping the gun. I actually got to put that as something I really didn't care too much for. Me personally, I think that match went a little bit too long. It should have been shorter. I like both guys' work, but it went a little bit too long considering that it was a setup for Hangman Page and for the confrontation between Hangman Page and Lance Archer. So I think it went a little bit too long because it was basically a long squash match that shouldn't have been as long as it was. But that's my take on it. Matt Hardy and Andrade are apparently they're business partners. So 50% is Andrade. So now he's El Presidente of Private Party, the Butcher and Blade, the Bunny, which is pretty cool because now he has a faction and he pays people. So that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But I do got to say that this looks like it is setting up for Matt Hardy to be kicked out and Jeff Hardy to help his brother out in a match against Private Party. Remember what I said. That's going to happen. It looks like it might happen that way. It looks like it might play out that way. We'll see. The cons, the things I really didn't like about AEW Dynamite, one thing I noticed, and it's been on TBS, is that whenever the show, like the opening intro, like the volume to the whole video is very low. Like, I don't know if it's recorded that way or if it's coming across on TV, but it just comes out very low. And then you get into the live crowd. Then it goes up. It's like it's not as impactful. It's just like, it's not. It doesn't jump out at you. It's just like, here comes the boom. Here comes the boom. And then, it's like, oh, they got to fix that. Some of these matches, and I've noticed this for a while, it's happened more frequently. There's a lot of waiting around for moves to be executed. Like last week, in the last couple of weeks, I kind of mentioned that there's just this grit, this intensity, this viciousness, this I want to move up the rankings to get my title shot. That sense of urgency in a lot of the wrestling matches, like it's there, but it's spotty. It comes and it goes throughout matches. I just hope they like tighten that up and just get back to what they had back in July going into August, because there was a lot of grit, intensity, physicality, just a raw nature. Man, I want to see what's going to happen on Dynamite because this is dope. So commentary, that's another issue. Like commentary, it was just very, like, they were fluid, and then it was just like a lot of you could say patchy. Like it's just like and a lot of, I would say a lot of dead air where it was just like it wasn't fluid. There you go. The conversation wasn't fluid. It was like someone would say something, JR would say something, and then there'd be nothing, and then somebody would say something, Excalibur would say something. Then it was just like a very not fluid as far as from an audio standpoint. But they did a terrific job. Shout out to Jim Ross, because you could tell at some point he was like losing his voice. Hopefully he had some water and he could do something, but that was pretty cool. Overall, it was a decent show. The Acclaimed, I'll finish with this. The Acclaimed, I really like this tag team. This tag team is really growing. AEW has something special with these guys. These videos that they're doing, they're catching on. A lot of people like it. That creativity. I think what's happening now in AEW is that we're in that phase, and if you've been watching AEW for a while, it might seem a little bit off and just like, man, there's just something missing. And I think what it is that we're about to experience a transition of a lot of people that were there in the beginning. A lot of their contracts are coming up, so they might not be renewed. And there's like this new talent that's coming in. So like where the Acclaim were last year, let's say the Acclaim was like here. Now going to 22, they're here. So now you need a tag team to fill that spot that the Acclaim were in. So I think that's what you're seeing with a lot of the talent that, like these new faces that you see, especially on AEW Dark. You're seeing a lot of new people that got buzz on the independents and from Ring of Honor. So let's see what happens. But yeah, overall, this was a really good show. I personally like this show better than the last few weeks of Dynamite, pretty much since they moved to TBS. I really like this show. You didn't get reminded of any tweets or anything like that. I think that's what's the big takeaway about the show. That leading up to it, there just wasn't this. Of course, there was, a lot of people being critical, including myself, of last week's. It just wasn't a AEW show that we're used to. The standard wasn't what we, where it was. But this week it was really good. After watching the show, you're left with a lot of, okay, where's Jon Moxley? Where is he going to go for the title? There's a lot of interest and intrigue with that. Now the Cody Rhodes, that's even more, especially with him being a free agent and stuff like that. And then the promo he gave tonight is like, where is this Cody Rhodes thing going? We know he's a heel, but it's not like he's a heel. Like, he's a heel, but it's getting to the point where it'll become official. Sting and Darby did a really cool thing. Hangman Page, Lance Archer. So there's a lot of things that happen on the show that leave you like, ooh, where's this gonna go? And you really didn't feel that in the last few weeks of Dynamite, where it's just like, okay, it happened. Yeah, all right. Like, it was like something was off. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, this is my AEW Dynamite review for January 19th. Like, share, comment, subscribe, follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Follow me on TikTok, Dedrian180. That's Dedran 180. But yeah, this is a pretty good show. I recommend you guys check it out. Watch the Jon Moxley promo. Watch the Cody Rhodes promo. Watch the Acclaimed intro. And check out the Adam Cole Britt Baker match starting off the show. It was a fun, entertaining show that it wasn't perfect, but if they keep at it, it will get better, and it will get back to that. Man, this is some good stuff. But yeah, I'm Dedrian Colon. This is the House of Wrestling. Thank you guys for everything. Like, subscribe, follow, all that. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you next.